The mastermind. The connecting link between the human and the divine, between the formed universe and formless energy, lies in your imaging faculty. It is, of all things human, the most godlike. It is our part of divinity. Through it we share in the creative power of the heaven mind. Through it, we can turn the most drab existence into a thing of life and beauty. It is the means by which we avail ourselves of all the good which God is constantly offering to us in such profusion. It is the means by which we can reach any goal and win any prize. Do you want happiness? Do you want success? Do you want position, power, riches? Image them. How did God first make the man? In his image created he him. He imaged man in his mind. And that is the way everything has been made since time began. It was first imaged in mind. That is the way everything you want must start with a mental image. So use your imagination. Picture in it your heart's desire. Imagine it, daydream it so vividly, so clearly, that you will actually believe you have it. In the moment that you carry this conviction to your subconscious mind, in that moment your dream will become a reality. It may be a while before you realize it, but the important part is done. You have created the model. You can safely leave it to your subconscious mind to do the rest. Every man wants to get out of the rut, to grow, to develop into something better. Here is the open road open to you, whether you have schooling, training, position, wealth, or not. Remember this, your subconscious mind knew more from the time you were a baby than is in all the books in all the colleges and libraries of the world. So don't let lack of training, or lack of education, hold you back. Your mind can meet every need and will do so if you give it the chance. The apostles were almost all poor men, uneducated men, yet they did a work that is unequaled in historical annals. Joan of Arc was a poor peasant girl, unable to read or write, yet she saved France. The pages of history are dotted with poor men, uneducated men, who thought great thoughts, who used their imaginations to master circumstances and became rulers of men. Most great dynasties started with some poor, obscure man. Napoleon came from a poor, humble family. He got his appointment to the military academy only through very hard work and the pulling of many political strings. Even as a captain of artillery, he was so poverty-stricken that he was unable to buy his equipment when offered an appointment to India. Business today is full of successful men who have scarcely the rudiments of ordinary education. It was only after he had made his millions that Andrew Carnegie hired a tutor to give him the essentials of an education. So it isn't training and it isn't education that make you successful. These help, but the thing that really counts is that gift of the God's creative imagination. You have that gift. Use it. Make every thought, every fact, that comes into your mind pay you a profit. Make it work and produce for you. Think of things not as they are but as they might be. Make them real, live, and interesting. Don't merely dream but create. Then use your imagination to make that creation of advantage to mankind and, incidentally, yourself. Get above your circumstances, your surroundings. Get above your troubles no matter what they may be. Remember, the law is that power flows only from a higher to the lower potential. Use your imaging faculty to put yourself and keep yourself on a higher plane, above trouble and adversity. Circumstances? Exclaimed Napoleon when at the height of his power. I make circumstances I, and that is what you too must do. As the rain cometh down and the snow from heaven, and returneth not thither, but watereth the earth, and maketh it bring forth and bud, and giveth seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. Isaiah. Do you have money worries? Say to yourself and believe there is no lack in the kingdom of heaven. Then make a treasure map as suggested in the magic word, showing all the riches and supply you may long for. All this must start, with an idea, a mental image. All that the Father hath is mine, said Jesus. And all that the Father hath is yours, too, for all he has, to begin with, is ideas, mental images, and you can create these as easily as he. Make your mental image of the thing you want, picture it on paper insofar as you can to make it more real and vivid to you, then have faith. Faith starts you doing the things you need to do to bring your ideas into realities. Faith brings to you the opportunities and people and things you need to make your images realities. All that the Father hath is yours, all the ideas, all the mental images, all the power to make them manifest. Do you want riches? They are yours for the making. The ancient alchemists who spent their lives trying to turn base metals into gold were trying and working from the bottom up. Power does not flow that way. You must start above the thing you want, working from the higher potential to the lower. Riches, health, happiness, power, all are yours if you work for them in the right way, if you make them yours in heaven first and then use your faith and your abilities to make them manifest here on earth. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. God's will for you is for riches, for happiness, for health. If you haven't these now, deny the lack. Deny the wrong conditions. Say to yourself, there is no lack in heaven. There is no disease there, no weakness, no trouble or conflict, no worries of any kind. There is only love and plenty. Then take your beliefs out of the images around you, which are merely the result of your previous belief objectified, and put all your faith, all your hopes, all your strength and abilities into making your new heaven images come true. You can do it. But you must believe so firmly that you can actually act the part. As the prophet Noel told us, let the weak say, I am strong. And the poor say, I am rich. And the sick say, I am well. And the miserable say, I am happy. Say it, repeat it until you believe it, then act the part. In one of Edgar Rice Burroughs' Martian stories, he told of a great walled city that had outlived its usefulness and was now peopled by only a few old men. But every time an invading army appeared before this city, it was driven away by hordes of archers that manned every foot of the walls and even swarmed out through the gates to meet the enemy in the open. When the enemy fled, the archers disappeared. Where did the archers come from? According to the story, they came entirely from the minds of the old men who still lived in that almost deserted city. These old men remembered the huge armies that had garrisoned the town in its heyday. They remembered former invasions when their soldiers had repelled every assault and then dashed out through the gates and swept the invaders into the sea. And by gathering together and visualizing those mighty armies of theirs as once more existent, they brought them into being so that their enemies too could see them and be driven into flight by them. Does that sound far-fetched? Then remember that you have only to go back to the Bible to find a parallel. Just turn to 2 Kings, chapter 6, and you will read how the king of Syria sent his horses and chariots and a great host to capture the prophet Elisha, and how in the night they compassed him around. And when the servant of the man of God was risen early and gone forth, behold, a host compassed the city both with horses and chariots. And his servants said unto him, Alas, my master, what shall we do? And he answered, Fear not. For they that be with us are more than they that be with them. And Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes, that he may see. And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire around Elisha. Again, when the high priest sent his soldiers to seize Jesus, and Peter struck one of the soldiers with his sword, Jesus rebuked him, saying, Thinkest thou that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? The mountains can be full of chariots of fire for you, too. The Father can send to your help as many legions of angels as you may need. All it requires is the power to visualize what you want, the faith to believe that you receive, and the serenity to sit back and let God work through you. However meager be my worldly wealth, let me give something that shall aid my kind, a word of courage, or a thought of health, dropped as I pass for troubled hearts to find. Let me tonight look back across the span twixt dawn and dark, and to my conscience say, because of some good act to beast or man, the world is better that I live today. Ella Wheeler Wilcox.